Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I am joined by Josh Bowe. I am Kirk Henderson, of course. We are editors at Mavs Moneyball. Thank you so much for joining us to listen to Josh and I talk about the Dallas Mavericks actually winning a game. They beat the Portland Trailblazers in overtime, 138 to 133. Josh, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Could have gone without overtime. I know you had to do the last game was overtime for you, so it's back-to-back overtimes.
But they weren't back-to-backs.
Well, it's two straight.
We are starting a 5-game in 7-night stretch where expect by the end of it, Josh and I may or may not be alive. But that's neither here nor there. We'll worry about that another day. Early Sunday evening game against the Portland Trailblazers. Drew Holiday got ruled out at some point today. I was doing a preview this morning. He was not on the injury report, and then he was in the injury report. And Anthony Davis was also put on the injury report. He was downgraded to doubtful. The Mavericks put out a PR statement about how he is out the next 7 to 10 games. He was at the Dallas Mavericks game wearing a Green Bay Packers jersey, and he just keeps finding ways to endear himself to Dallas Mavericks fans. But luckily for us, the Mavericks were able to really get on the board early and often. I was pretty excited with their effort in this game, though I made a tweet with about a minute left in the first quarter. I was like, this has been a fun quarter. I hope the Mavericks close out strong. And then, of course, they didn't. And the Blazers were up by, they scored 37 first quarter points. It's just like, come on, guys. What the fuck are we doing? What did you think of the effort and the offense and really just how things were flowing this game since it's you got to take a game off from these idiots?
Yeah. I mean, they played incredibly hard. I mean, my first impression is Portland played a war crime of an offensive game. I mean, I guess they don't have a point guard without Drew Holiday.
Yes.
Holy crap. That was the worst offensive performance I've seen from a team this season, personally, with my own two eyes. And we cover the Dallas Mavericks, who have had one of the worst offenses in the league.
They shot 113 times.
Dude, that was criminal. They should be charged, and there need to be Senate hearings about how awful that offensive game was. Credit to the Mavericks for playing hard. The only reason that the Mavericks should have won this game by 15 points at least. Portland had a ton of offensive rebounds. I think they had 30 second chance points. They had 22 offensive rebounds, and then the Mavericks had 14 turnovers, which actually is pretty good. They had 10 of them in the first half. So actually that's why the Mavericks won the game, because they stopped giving up offensive rebounds, and then they Portland still had a lot of second chance points, but they got the turnovers, cut them down. They didn't get killed as bad on the glass. They played the Trailblazers into a small lineup because they played them all. They played the big lineup off the floor, and the big lineup was kind of the only reason why I think Portland was winning, because Klingon had a ton of Klingon had 7 offensive rebounds just by himself.
Klingon is a bizarre basketball player.
But they played him off the floor because the Mavericks just kept dribble handoffing to Clay, and Klingon is under the basket guarding the Mavericks center, and Clay walked into 3 wide open threes, it was nothing. So the Portland had to get him off the floor because they were gonna, the Dallas was just gonna keep bombing from 3, and then that took away their advantage on the boards, and it let the Mavericks come back into the game anyway. But yeah, the Mavericks played hard. I feel like they didn't do anything too much different, than they've been doing the last couple of games. They just played an opponent that can't shoot.
Well, it's funny. So Isaac and I sort of found this out the hard way when we were talking about the last game. When something like that overtime happens, and something like the Mavericks' fourth quarter happens, which really overturned the way they had played the previous 3 quarters, it's a little bit difficult to discuss because you don't want to harp on the negative in a game that they won. Or in a game where I really thought that game against Clippers, they made real progress. The Clippers were just better. And so I want to really emphasize that before I kind of shit on them. But what if for the first 3 quarters of the game, you don't stick Cooper Flag in the fucking corner?
I don't know why they have to wait for clutch time to let him do stuff.
Like, Jesus Christ! Like, because on the one hand, I want to emphasize how badass Cooper has been in 2 straight overtime games. I don't know if he missed any in overtime again. He was amazing, and no, I guess he did miss a little hip swell. Because I was one of the things I just really like watching Cooper do when he gets inside the 3-point line is he sizes guys up because his jumper is not quite good enough yet where guys are playing off him. They're giving him a little bit of a cushion where they can challenge late. But he does this thing with his sort of, it's like a Steve Nash hip swivel, only a 6'9" guy does it. And he drives real hard left and like rises and pulls up. And like, even when the shot doesn't go down, looks really cool. I just like it because it's very different stylistically. Kind of reminds me of elements of what like Kevin Durant does, to be quite honest. And anyway, I'm just kind of rambling at that point. So it's like he was so good in the overtime and the fourth quarter and like getting the Mavericks to where they needed to be, meaning Flag was, where just it's like, how about we don't do that the first 3 quarters, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's all about. I like watching Coop. I know I didn't cover the game, but I went back and watched at least some highlights. It is fun watching him drive into established NBA veteran forwards and centers, and those guys bounce off of him like they're toddlers.
I love that.
Have you noticed every time when he drives hard, his defender is always like at the stanchion, like underneath the rim when the play's over, whether it's a foul or he makes a shot. Like he is bullying guys, and he's 18 years old.
I mean, I got a text from my friend Danny Morang, who covers the Blazers up in Portland. He's a radio guy, and he said Coop has been so good, man. He went at Tumani Kamara and Denny Advija like they're like a grown ass man would.
Yeah, he put Kamara in like on his ass a couple times, and Kamara is like legitimately an all defensive level player. And he just kind of crumpled him into like a nope piece of notebook paper and threw him into the garbage a couple times in the fourth quarter. It's incredible how strong he is and how deliberate he could be when he goes to the rim. Like when he's going to the basket, it's just, man, he's just really good at that. And I feel like every shot he takes in the paint is going in. Like he's got good touch.
Well, and one of the things we've not gotten to see enough of, in my opinion, is just due to the spacing that the Mavericks present, guys are staying. They're not dropping down on Cooper right now. They're sort of content to let guys go one-on-one. You're not seeing a lot of help, so he's not exactly able to make, let's just say, like 2 dribble drives and kicking out to the corner. There's going to be elements when the offenses run through him more often where he's making passes because it's just his court vision is hilarious. Now he got a late rebound and kick ahead for a dunk that had like the broadcasting guys just losing their minds, which is it was great because it's like whoever the Portland Trailblazers was, a guy that jumped really mistimed his jump, and then all Cooper had to do was like grab the ball off the rebound and jump once and pass ahead. So it's not like it was the hardest pass in the world for a 6'9" guy, but it's just so I just like that. The willingness and the vision to see ahead. Like some guys in the NBA just have really bad tunnel vision. It just happens. And so watching his willingness to move the ball ahead was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, and for a team that can't shoot, like they really do a good job driving. Like now that they're playing like everyone's playing their real position, having a real point guard, even if it's D'Angelo Russell for a very bad 12 minutes or 22 minutes that he played tonight.
He played 12. He played 12 minutes. Yeah.
No, that's points. He played 22 minutes.
Oh, you're right.
The ESPN box score.
ESPN box score.
I know. But still, like the fact that they're playing with one big and a point guard, like the whole game, like they're driving to the rim pretty relentlessly. I think I heard some stats on the broadcast. They're tops in the league. They're top 10 in the league in drives per game. They had how many points in the paint did they have tonight? They had 62. Which Portland is like a defensive team. Like they're 6-7 now. So they're still not good, but their pluckiness comes from their defense. And the fact that the Mavericks kind of got to the paint at will is, one, they've got some good slashers, and two, like it's easier to do that when you actually play real NBA spacing, so to speak, with one center, two forwards, normal forwards, and a point guard. And you're not trying to do this double big whatever experiment. It just makes it easier for everyone else. Like I know they haven't won a lot of games since they've gone to, with Anthony Davis out and they're starting Brandon Williams or D'Angelo Russell. I know they still haven't won a lot, but it's at least looks better, even if the results aren't what you want it to see.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed watching this game. And I also thought, this is like the box score doesn't speak to this. Denny Advija had finished with 29, 6, and 7, but I felt like they frustrated the shit out of him this game.
Oh, absolutely.
And with Drew Holiday out, he was kind of their de facto playmaking guy, because Shaedon Sharpe is just like, ball touches hand, ball goes up for a shot. 32 points in 36 minutes for Mr. Sharpe. Just a hilarious number. I'm sorry, 32 shots in 39 minutes. I'll figure that out.
12 of 32 from the floor.
Really, really funny. I mean, some of his shot, like it was like a video game with him. Because he shot multiple air balls, but then also drilled multiple incredible threes. So I'm like, what the hell is happening? Anyway, I thought they did such a good job, just really pissing off Denny, and you could see that to the point to where at the end of regulation, Denny, who had actually sort of forced the issue, getting it to a tie game, like getting to the free throw line a couple of times late in the fourth quarter, wanted nothing to do with the Mavericks' interior defense and just heaved like a lazy, 29-footer. So I don't know.
Mavericks had 9 block shots tonight.
Ooh, I thought they had more than that. I was like, what? You're right.
Yeah, 9.
You're right.
Still, 9 is a lot.
I thought I heard the broadcast crew crowing about like how it's the first time they'd had 10 block shots in a year, but maybe they took one away after the fact. While we're sort of, the first half of this show, since they won, I think we should be crowing about the cool things. Shout out to PJ Washington for this game is into one without his shooting this game.
Right. Yep.
He hit 5 threes, and this was probably 15 to 34 from the 3-point line as a team. This is I don't know this, but chances are this is their best 3-point shooting team, as a 3-point shooting game as a team this season.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Clay was awesome as well. Surprisingly, Portland was very weird. Like, Clay got open. Like, I don't know how Clay got open so many times today. Like, I almost want to rewatch it and be like, did the Mavericks do something cool, or was Portland just really dumb? Because Clay's really dumb. Clay's like on a team of bad 3-point shooters, which the Mavericks have a lot of bad 3-point shooters. Like, he's the one. Like, why is he the one you're leaving open when you're playing next to Cooper and even PJ? Even though he's a better shooter, but you know what I mean. Like, Clay is the only one that really commands gravity. Like, it was weird how often he was open, and a couple of those again were the dribble handoffs where the Klingon was guarding Lively, and Klingon is like seriously within a stone's throw of the rim. Like, he's basically at the rim. So Clay's coming off that dribble handoff. Lively hits the screen. The guy gets hit by the screen. There was no one in Clay's airspace at all. The Portland didn't really know what to do with kind of the Maverick spacing, which is, God, we haven't said that about a game yet this season, I don't think, with the Mavericks offense.
It's true. Clay also had some really nice dimes out of that action up high. He had one to Moussa Cisse where Mr. Cisse finished on a really nice and one. Just, you want to highlight these nice plays because the Mavericks, it's you don't want to. I never want to shit on a win, but this is one of these where just due to the shooting capacity, if the Mavericks don't shoot 15 to 34 from 3, they don't win the game because they gave up so many offensive rebounds. I mean, they shot the ball as a team. Holy cow, 18 fewer times.
Yes, you don't normally win games when you give up that many.
That's right. That's right. And there's just an element of this where you got to enjoy it while you can. because they head out on the road and they play. They've been a very home heavy schedule. So now they're 4-9. Is that what they are?
Yep.
4-10. Excuse me, 4-10. So they head out on the road to play Minnesota. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Now it's time to take a quick break. If you want to support the show, there are 3 ways to do so. Directly, there's links in the comments and in the show notes. If you literally would like to send us stuff, it's great. While listening to the ads, fantastic way to support the show. Third way, tell your friends, recommend us. Leave reviews, leave comments. We are very grateful for the support in this very weird and probably likely frustrating season that's ahead of us. We'll be right back after these quick ads. All right. Thank you so much for bearing with us while we did a little business there. If you have not subscribed to the show, please go ahead and do so. It's real easy, and we always have our secondary show, which is driven by you, the fan, because I'm Josh's an analyst. I'm an actual fan. All right. We were happy. What about this game requires work?
The turnovers were pretty bad to start. They did clean that up toward the end.
Yeah. Lively was rough.
Yeah. Lively was bad. I feel bad for Lively.
Why?
Because these injuries, man. Obviously there's accountability and sometimes a player just plays bad. But man, this guy just can't. I think it's hard to be consistent when you can't stay on the floor. He was playing, he played 3 games to start the season. The last game he had, he didn't have a lot of points, but he played 21 minutes. He had 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. The Mavericks won. You're like, okay. And then he has an knee injury and he's out for almost a month. And now he's back and he looks like a guy that's been out for a month. And it was the same thing with the ankle, the injury that he had last season. He came back. He was playing really well, got hurt, comes back, just doesn't look the same. And maybe it's going to take him a couple games, but it's just a shame that these injuries are just they're just derailing him. And yeah, he was bad. He had 6 fouls in 12 minutes, didn't impact the game too much, had a couple nice blocks, but yeah, it's rough. It's tough for him with these lower body injuries, and it's not good that they keep piling up. So I don't know what else to say other than that.
I get it. It's worth mentioning just because you got a lot of fans that are clamoring for more Moussa Cisse. You got Dan Gafford out there who is giving more minutes. I wouldn't be shocked if at this point on an average game basis when he's been back this season. Let me just see here if they even have this stuff updated. 8 games, maybe not. It feels like he's played a ton of minutes lately, and that worries me for the long term, just because he's a 22 to 24 minute a night guy. He's a starting center if you play small ball or if you do different lineup options. He Gafford's just not built for an 82 game season. He's a little undersized. He's 6'9". He plays bigger than that, of course, but it's just something that's sort of on my mind as I'm watching him. This is tough because it's there's not much to dislike.
Yeah, they're shorthanded. They're playing hard.
Well as a team. Yeah. One of the things that's been very frustrating is they finish a lot of these games shooting 42%. And tonight they shot 51% from the floor. And sometimes it really is as simple as making your shot attempts. So it's, I was pleased to see Brandon Williams bounce back. He was so awful in the last game, Yep. And I've had this discussion with a couple of friends offline where we were all reasonably excited for Brandon Williams because of the sort of spark that he provides. I think that as the season goes on and you get tape on Williams, Brandon Williams' solution to every problem is go fast.
Yep.
And so it's not criticism. It's just a statement. And I think as the year goes on, he is horrible from 3. And I just sort of wonder that longer as we get further down the line, do teams just sort of say, all right, look, we're going to play 5 feet off you and dare you to hit this 3-point shot. Now he's so dang fast and so good off the dribble that sometimes really doesn't matter. But it's nice to see him have a bounce back game. But I have to wonder. It's a little bit alarming that him playing reasonably well is kind of a bellwether for whether the Mavericks are decent or not.
Oh yeah, it's a representation of the breakdown of the roster, but that's not his fault. And
no,
he's I mean, I don't know. I mean, he was literally bouncing around the G League, and now he's your starting point guard. And not only is he your starting point guard, like you said, he feels like the barometer of if they're going to be good or bad is how good he is, which is just crazy.
He turns 26 in 6 days. So somebody was telling me, oh, we got to build around the younger guys. And I just want to state for point of reference, a lot of folks are mad at Nico for not signing him to a contract where the Mavericks could somehow have his bird rights. I've been mad about Nico about a lot of stuff. This is not one of those things.
Yeah, come on, like
26-year-old 5'11" speed demon point guard is not that's not a building block. I wish him. I hope he does as well as he can on the Mavericks next year, and I hope he finds another big contract. But I'm not. If the Mavericks are living and dying with him, then the team is in a worse spot than we thought. And maybe they might be. But this was a really good win. This was the limited D'Lo minutes they're just so funny. Like he has 7 assists in those 22 minutes or however many that he had. But it's just his decision making on these shots are so crazy. Because did you happen to catch? I know you were out. You were out on Friday. Did you catch any of his fourth quarter run?
I didn't.
It was amazing because he was hitting everything, and then he stopped. And I mean, stopped so hard. He had a turnover in the he gets it right past half court. He does a little pullback dribble move, tries to cross it over to his left hand, loses the ball, and it just rolls forward towards the defender. Like he had 24 points shot. I think he might have shot 24 times. It was incredible, like just a wild ass game from him. And then he had 7 turnovers, and the Mavericks wouldn't have been close without him. Is the funny part. It just I don't know. I wonder at one point if they do consider finding any other guard help in the season, or if they really do just let it ride. Like I don't know what the possible options even could be.
No, I don't know either. I mean, I know they're so far up, but with the cap, it would have to be some kind of trade, and even then, the trades are hard. And I mean, they're not going to trade. They're not going to make a win out move. Like, I mean, if the guard stuff is bad, you just kind of lean into it, right? Like they are tearing it. They're probably going to start tearing it down and looking towards, building around Cooper. I don't think you do that by jeopardizing whatever limited assets you have in the future to bring in guard help for now. I think you just kind of let it ride. Maybe you sign some depth pieces. So it's literally not just Brandon Williams and D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think you just kind of let it ride and see what happens.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So we got 2 small pieces of news to kind of close out the show with, because you're going to be hearing a lot from Josh and I this week. So we're just going to use your time wisely. And then we'll have our secondary show. And that's really our show for our sickos, because you have a lot of options in Mavs content. I think if you're listening to Mavs Party, it's because you're a true diehard. Anthony Davis is going to be out at least 7 to 10 more days. I don't know. Like they're saying it's because of the calf strain. And if that's the case, then the medical team may have misdiagnosed his initial calf strain, or he could have injured it trying during rehab, or they're lying to us and he's going to fat camp, or they're just positing trade options. Like all 4 options are perfectly fine with me. I don't really care.
Yeah. I mean, he shouldn't play until, I don't think a trade is imminent, because there's not going to be a trade. If there is a trade, it's not going to happen until December, when guys that signed in the summer are going to be traded. So I think it's just legitimately like get him, because they're not going to be able to trade him if he has a relapse, like if he has a setback. Like they have to treat him like put him in bubble wrap get him as close to 100% healthy as you can, get him in shape so that they can play him for like a week or two and then trade him. Like, I would have to imagine that's the plan. There's literally no point to rushing him back. The season's already kind of blown up. You fired Nico Harrison. You fired your GM. You're refocusing the franchise around Cooper Flagg. If you want to trade AD for any semblance of value, like, I mean, if he came back and got hurt again, like, it's over. Like, you can't trade, like, you know, he's got to pass the physical if you want to trade him. Like,
and I mean, I kind of wonder if the Mavs pushed him through the physical last year because Nico wanted him. I mean, I talked a little bit about this with Isaac and then with Brian. I'm trying not to be too bleakly negative, but like, I really think I think AD's time is over, like really over, like drastically over, because it's. I mean, Cooper Flagg's already played more minutes than AD has as a Maverick. It's been 14 games.
No, yeah, that experiment's over. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine he's going to be on this team past the February trade deadline.
I mean, it's almost to the point. Yeah, it's almost to the point where I don't really consider him part of the roster.
Yeah,
you know, it's fine, and that's fine. Second interesting piece of news is Mark Stein reported tonight in the Stein line that Dennis Lindsey would be interested in the Dallas Mavericks general manager job. He is under contract though, so I don't know how on earth that would work because he is second in command with the Pistons. A lot of people think that Dennis Lindsey was responsible for a lot of the kind of rounding out the roster moves and also kind of the PJ and Dan Gafford move. I'm not sure about that. Don't want to say anything that's false, but it's interesting. You know, you get a lot of clamoring. You know, you got some chatter in the chat here. It's like, why isn't Jason Kidd going to go? Kidd, here's the thing about Kidd. I think Kidd figured out over the summer the way this was going and started pivoting and turning himself to being like the I never wanted Luka to be traded guy. Just a lot of whispers and back alley stuff. Kidd is one of the world's biggest survivors, is what he is. And so he's not going anywhere, guys. Should he?
Unless he wants to go.
That's right. That's right. Should he? Because I think there's a lot of like due fair frustration with his involvement in that trade, as well as just like the rotations and like Cooper Flagg in the corner this year. So should he go? Maybe. Is he going to go? Probably not.
No,
so I'm not to that place yet where I can dedicate my emotions to calling for it. Do you know what I mean?
No, and especially like, I mean, the locker room doesn't give up on him. And that's kind of like, you don't really fire a coach until that part happens. I mean, I know that does happen, but like they play hard for him. And I know that sounds silly because every guy should play hard. Like that's what the money is for, but that doesn't always happen in the NBA. And the fact that this team has gone through hellacious, tumultuous periods, you know, in between the conference finals season and the NBA finals season, you had the season where they missed the play in the playoffs entirely with Luka basically healthy the whole year, which was a disaster. And you had last season was a disaster and this season a disaster. And through all those disastrous moments, I never felt like, oh, well, the team's quit. Like they always played hard and they kept games closer than they should have been. So I think as long as Kidd can keep the team doing that, there's no reason to move on from him right now.
Yep. So we'll see where the GM thing goes. I don't think any trades are imminent, though. A fair number of people seem to think because AD got downgraded that they're like considering moving him. And the realistic is like AD is Mr. Glass. Like that's the most likely outcome. He probably was rehabbing. Calf stuff sucks because it feels fine, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. So anyway.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to let Josh go. We're waiting on our colleague Jonathan, who hasn't turned in the recap yet and is trying to kill me. And we're going to let Josh go edit and just hang out for a bit because it's a little bit early. And then we'll be back tomorrow night. The Mavericks play the Wolves, and I'm going to do our secondary show. So everybody that's on the audio stream that wants to participate in that, go to YouTube and join us Monday night. Everybody be good, and let's go Mavs. Hello, friends. Welcome to. Oh, I guess I need to change the show branding because we are now at a Mavs Party. That's exactly what this is. The Dallas Mavericks defeated the Portland Trailblazers 138-133. It's the first win that the Mavericks have had since the Wizards game. They definitely needed this one because I don't think I would have handled them losing 4 straight games at home very well before they headed out onto the road. If you're unfamiliar with our show at all, there is a link in the YouTube comments, which I have shared, that you can join. We can talk basketball, talk big picture, talk this game, kind of anything you want. We're going to be talking to each other quite a bit this week, so maybe you won't have anything to say at all, and that's okay, and we can close off the show, and I will go to bed. We got Patrick hanging out and waiting, but if anybody else wants to join, please do so. Patrick, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I am all right. I'm pretty tired. Long weekend, kind of.
Same here. I got an eyelid twitching, but got to keep going on. I told myself I would write down my notes, but I'm outside of the house walking a dog again, so hopefully I can remember the 3 things I got. So first thing, AD wearing that Green Bay Packers jersey. It reeks a little bit of the "That's All Folks" shirt. I don't think he's getting traded, but I don't know if you remember that when he was on the Pelicans.
Yeah, I do. I hated that. I hate this. I'm just like, come on, man.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Maybe it was love for Love Field. Anyway, let's see. Second thing, I want to talk about how Cooper seems to explode in the second half, if at all. Sometimes he has dud games, but usually if he has good games, it's in the second half. It's not really like minutes played. It's kind of just like drawing things up for him and letting him do his thing and letting him be aggressive. But like, you think kids withholding him so that he has young man energy for late game to just kind of stunt on those that are out of breath? Or is there any method to this madness at all, do you think?
I'm sure he would tell you yes. I don't know if I believe that. It's not hard for him. I think he had 3 shots in the first half. I think that's right. He ended up with 15 or whatnot.
Yeah, he stands in the corner. That's like what he does in the first half every game.
The standing in the corner is my problem more than the shots, where you saw it there in the end when they're pushing and Brandon Williams scored the basket. That was essentially the game sealing basket. Use flag in actions. It doesn't necessarily have to be a ball screen, but guys who are standing still are so much easier to guard. I know,
especially he has no corner gravity because doesn't he suck at corner threes anyway?
I don't think he's hit one yet, which is quite funny. So,
okay.
Ash Boying says he had 8 shots in the first 3 quarters. So the point that we're making stands to reason.
Yeah, because he had about 16, 18 shots.
Yeah.
And then the third thing I want to say is more of a long-term thing, and I want to come at you later with like more numbers on this. But basically, we only control our pick this season, and even if we trade AD or Kai or Clay or whoever for future picks, they're not going to be controlled by us. So I don't really see a point in sucking after this season. So the play should probably be to tank this season, ethically, of course, or naturally, and then try to be good. I don't know what that looks like, but I think that's good for Cooper's development.
It looks like Phoenix the other night when we lost to them, and they're just playing hard because they have no reason to lose. I mean, NBA players are never going to tank, and that's sort of where it goes from here. And so I think the figure out what to do this year thing will come in waves. I mean, the Mavericks are 4-10, and there's not a one of their losses that I thought they should have won. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not a single one of those games where I'm like, well, if only this had happened, they would have won. Like, the Clippers are old, and maybe there was a chance against the Bucks, but it's just the Mavericks don't have it right now. So I'm sure there'll be points in the season where I look back and I'll say, you know what, all right, the Mavericks really should have beaten Team X that they lost to, but I don't feel like that right now. And so we'll get to where we're going in a pretty natural way, I think, because just like look at the schedule ahead. Like I don't know what games they're going to be favored in.
Yeah, and I'm all on board for that. But I mean, I just don't think we're granted we have been healthy and looked horrible, but I don't think we're as bad as it appears. We do have $100 million tied up in dudes not playing, and not necessarily. I don't necessarily think like if those dudes in particular came back, that would be good. But if that $100 million was spent wisely around Cooper Flag and Max, and
Sure.
with a vision of the future, I don't think we're going to be this bad next season. Let's say if we do make those trades.
I think that's a fair point. I don't see Cooper Flag dealing with a losing team very well. Like some of these guys have played for real losers. Like PJ Washington came here from a team that just lost as a matter of course.
Right.
And this guy has, he said he's never lost this much in his life. And so it's guys like that you sort of hope carry you forward. But the team is really like, you go look at some of these numbers. Like Mark Followill was like rambling during the thing about how the Mavericks have the 8th best paint field goal defense in the league. And I'm like, they give up the 4th most points in the paint. So I don't really care what everybody gets in the paint on them. So maybe they're like, there's all sorts of second chance points. There's all sorts of stuff. I was very confused at some of that stuff because this is all like it tracks with what we see. Like even the Blazers tonight were just getting into the paint at will. Yeah, the Mavericks had some blocks, but there's like you put one dribble on the ground and you're in the paint if you're playing against the Mavericks.
Yeah. Well, I just want to leave with this parting thought. I've been thinking about, the whole concept kind of in the NFL. It's like that where you got the rookie contract quarterback.
Yes.
And so those next 3 seasons that we don't have our picks, maybe we accumulate picks through trading the older guys. I don't necessarily think we should maybe even use those picks. Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't, but we could package those picks for an all-star level player to pair with Flag to not be bad because we don't control our picks.
The picks element of it all, you just have to have assets, and they literally built it. And Josh, I think it's Isaac and I were talking about this in the last show where I said that even if Luka was a Maverick right now, these discussions would be lingering in the back of everyone's heads because it's like, all right, we've gotten through the first phase of the Luka Doncic experience, but we don't have any assets moving forward. What is Dallas going to do? Like this was coming no matter what. It's just it's the when you trade Luka, it sort of speeds up the conversation. So I would prefer them to secure picks. Number one, I just like the draft. It's one of my favorite things to cover. But secondarily, I think you use picks as real bites at the apple to build your team in an inexpensive way.
Well, but on that topic, I'm worried that Cooper's going to be like 24 when we owe him his max, right? And he won't even be in his prime yet. So I'm afraid of using, like, he's too young to be on a rookie contract, if that even makes any sense. Like, we had Luka on rookie contracts at like 23, 24, but by then Cooper's going to be owed, right? Isn't it like 6-7 years into the career?
The rookie max will be, so he'll be owed that in like 29, like, and that'll be a rookie max extension. Like that one is not.
That's like 35, 40 maybe.
Yeah, and you just kind of, I don't even remember how much it is, but that's just one you live with. And
I mean, and that can be like, okay, maybe overpay for another guy, but we have Cooper for cheap. Combine them together, that makes sense. But yeah, that's accounting.
But that's where the cap guru stuff comes into mind, and you just really got to be thoughtful of these things and hopeful that you have a cap level guy where and the Mavericks seem to be in a pretty good spot right there. Like they built a very expensive team on purpose. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, on purpose to trade Luka, I guess. Right, I don't really know. On purpose for what?
Knucklehead McGee blamed, he had his own vision. So there you go.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, thanks for taking my call.
No, of course. All right. Thanks so much. All right. My friend Doe is hanging in the chat. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to talk about, post them in the chat. I'll try to pay attention and not been reading the chat as much tonight just because a couple of you guys are arguing. Then I can answer those questions, but if you want to come up on stage, it's very easy. You guys know the drill. All right, Mr. Dang, how are you doing this evening?
Pretty good. Nice to see them actually close out, and good to see Gafford and Lively back in the game. And Musa, of course, is still playing great, so pretty encouraging. It's good to see Brandon Williams in there. And savor these wins because we won't see many more.
I sort of think that's the case, and I don't want to dump on everybody's experience because one of the things I will say about these past several games, so let's just go look at them. They lost to the Clippers, Suns, and Bucks. All 3 of those games were pretty fun. Like they, is this
competitive? Yes,
they're competitive.
yes.
Like, and that's,
Right.
I was watching you kind of chat in the YouTube chat, and let's just say that if you're a fan, and let's just use an example, if you're a fan that thinks their best way forward is to lose out and get as high a draft pick as they can, I think that's a defensible position. But if they're going to play basketball and continue to lose, the way they've been playing is about as good as I can hope for, because I'm not bored. Like, do you remember the second half of Dennis Smith's rookie year? So Dennis Smith. So like
Oh
the
my
year
God.
before Luka. It was awful. It was awful.
It was brutal.
There was nothing to watch. We were watching Harrison Barnes and Wesley Matthews post-ups. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, and let me bring you up to the Jimmy Clemens era. That was terrible too.
I forget you've watched like 45 years of Mavericks basketball. So you're basically,
it seems like it's just yesterday.
Well, but one of the things the chat and the membership, like the folks who are listening, need to know is that part of why you're like, I want them to hurry the hell up with this is because it's like you don't want, like, we're old. We want them to get on. Like, who knows how long we have here? You want to watch basketball while you're functional.
Oh yeah. I don't think I'll ever get a kidney transplant. So I probably have about 5 more years left, So I'm hoping that they win sooner rather than later, but I'd rather them rebuild and have generational talent. Like OKC, look at the way they built, it's amazing. Even Detroit.
Sam Presti's so smart.
I'm sorry.
And Sam, the GM of
he's amazing.
He's so smart. So it's there's also luck, but there's just so many things that go into it. And I think that's where, our draft guys at Mavs Moneyball, we got David Sanchez in the chat going down there, really talking about it. I think the Mavericks have an opportunity. Like if you land in the top, like if you have like I don't remember the way the odds break out, but if you land in like the top, like the worst 3 or 4 like percentages of the odds, you can only slide down to 6. If you land at 2 or whatever, you can really only slide, or like the second worst odds, or whatever, you can only slide down so much. And there's enough guys in this draft to where I'm pretty excited right now as I'm paying attention to about 6 or 7 guys. And that always expands as the draft goes along.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
It does. Especially there's 3 really great point guards in the top 8 that I'd be really, really happy with if we can land, because really this league is a point guard wing really league.
Ball handling, ball distribution, finishing, and it's like you see flag developing in some of these areas where it's like, okay, he's taking it to the rim, but he's not that 1A offensive guy, and I don't want to say he won't be, but I also think the path to getting there, starting, like, usually it's just hard to develop into that at the NBA level. Like usually guys come in pretty high up with that sort of skill set already there.
Right. But the good thing, he makes good basketball plays. There's not many times where I see that he just totally forces things up, He'll drop the ball off when he needs to, and then he'll bully people when he needs to. And it's good to see him finally play the position that he's grown up to play, which is small forward or power forward, or even shooting guard. He looks so much more natural and comfortable. It's ridiculous to even think that you would stick somebody into the most difficult position in the NBA as a rookie and make him run the team, with no backup, So I'm happy that they're making progress,
I think with as we get where I would start to settle with the whole, concept of like draft lottery odds and where you're worried about that, I say get to February and then see where things are. The trade deadline because I do think the Mavericks move AD well before the trade deadline. I think so. His reputation is good around the league, Anthony Davis. So even though he makes a lot of money. So it's like, I think you get to February, and then we start to see, all right. Are we okay with the Mavericks, like, no matter where they lose? Because it's like by that point, you're like 50-ish games into the season. and you have a pretty good idea of where things are going to suss out. Every now and again, you get something like the Dallas Mavericks in 2023-24, where they just punished people in the last 30 games of the season. And the Golden State Warriors did it last year out west. But really, you don't see a lot of movement in the standings at that point. You know, it's certain teams sort of it's panning for gold, but you see where guys and teams end up landing to where it's pretty obvious even that far out about where guys are going to be. So, you know, it's I don't know if you remember this, I think it was the year Luka's rookie year where we had his buddy, gosh, what was that center's name? He was a center and they played against Memphis, and like him and Devin Harris had an incredible game. And basically it when you looked back at the end of the year, it was like if the Mavericks hadn't have won that game, they would have ended up in a position to draft like 1 or 2. It's just like one of those really preposterous situations. And it's like, I think if thinking like that, I think can be really detrimental to the fan experience, because you don't want to be like, God, if they had only lost one more time. Yeah, the Salamejri game. That's what it was. Thank you, cool trainer Pat. I couldn't think of Salamejri's name. Yes, Center Carlisle cursed out. So I don't know. That's just where my head is right now. I want people to have fun with this, because it's too long of a season to be actively frustrated watching them all the time, because I think it can just be sort of detrimental to your own mental well-being. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I know what you mean. My expectations are really low, beginning of the season. Even if everyone was healthy, I was projecting about 25, 30 wins at the most, more like 20, closer to 20, because I knew they weren't going to be healthy, It's a joke to think that they were anywhere close to the playoffs, even with a healthy AD, you still got Kyrie out until March, it's ridiculous.
Nothing would surprise me about Kyrie, but I think with the team this bad, there's just no reason for him to come back early. So
no, I mean, especially from something, and he's that old coming back from, that major surgery, and it's a guy who relies on speed and quickness too, he can't just lumber around like a 7-footer,
Yes.
So,
well, man, I appreciate
thanks
you
a lot, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Appreciate you and Josh.
Oh yeah, here every night.
All right.
What else?
Take care, buddy.
Bye. All right, my friend, Mr. Ash Boying, how are you?
Good evening.
What'd you think? I liked it.
Well,
I enjoyed myself.
I liked it. I'm going to disagree with you about Cooper. I think that he does have the skills to be the number one option. If you watch him at Duke, and I'm predicating all this on what I've seen from him, because when he first got to Duke, he wasn't that number one guy.
No. Yes. Yeah. That's a good point.
But and I've made this reference several times. He's like the board. He just assimilates you.
Sure.
Okay? He learns and he assimilates you, and that's what it looks to me like. You watch that Clipper game, and he deferred a little bit in overtime to D'Lo.
Yes.
And it looked like tonight. Well, he learned from that. He's like, okay, well, I'm not going to defer. I'm going to take it to the basket.
I'm going to make the right play. Right. Yeah. Right.
And so, you can just see him learning. And one of the other callers earlier said, well, why don't we package, some of these assets and get an all-star? Well, that's not how you build a champion anymore in the NBA.
I think that's true as of now. It's so organic.
The way you build a champion, you say, okay, who's our guy? Okay, and we always fall back to Sam Presti because he's the NBA genius. And he identified Shea as his guy. Okay, and so then he said, okay, so what do we put around him that makes him so much more effective? And then, while we're doing that, we make a guy like Jalen Williams effective. And, we can make a guy like Chet Holmgren effective. And that's kind of, I think, the way to build. And I think, what you do there is you gotta you got to start having an asset sell off. To be honest with
Yeah.
you, I mean, that's just what's going to have to happen, and get as many picks as you can, first round picks, second round picks, whatever. Okay, but get as many picks as you can. You made a comment the other night about, well, the Mavericks don't have any second round picks, and that's really unfortunate because that's how you build the bottom of your roster in the NBA today. Okay, you can't have these salary heavy veterans at the bottom of your roster anymore because that's going to put you right up against the first and second aprons.
Yep. You have to have very cheap, cost controlled stuff. It's like building out the edges of a football team with the salary cap.
Right. And so, um, and it kind of sucks that we went from championship level team to where we are now. But I kind of like it too. I like watching them struggle. Okay, I like let's watch the growth. And it's kind of funny, but I'm sitting here watching Cooper Flag grow exponentially right before from game to game, which is not something that you normally see. But he's a kind of a basketball savant in my opinion. So,
well, I think there's something to that. What I was telling, we got a new guy at Mavs. Well, he's not a new guy, but he just doesn't write that often at Mavs Moneyball tonight. I was talking with him, about just watching the team this year, and I said they're not the kind. So far, they're not the kind of bad where I lose attention because I just don't see them. And maybe this will happen, or hopefully it doesn't happen until late in the season, but I'm not disinterested by watching them play right now. I'm frustrated. Sometimes I'm very grossed out, but it's such weird basketball. And then when they execute well, they look amazing. And then when they make mistakes, it's like, oh my God. So it's a little bit of both ways here to where, I mentioned the second half of that 2016-17 season. That was like the toughest basketball season I've had to cover because there's just nothing, like everybody that knew was just hopeful that the Mavericks were going to get a top tier pick in the 2018 draft. I think that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm saying 17-18 season, not 16-17. The 17-18 season was so painful because it was just so bad to watch. And anyone that knew was like, I remember arguing with Skin Wade, and I told him I'd trade 2 first-round picks for Cooper. And this is before, I'm not for Cooper, for Luka. This is when, you were looking at Marvin Bagley and some of the other folks that were in that draft talking about how good that draft could be. And interestingly enough, like all the really good players weren't actually taken all that early. Shea Alexander went like mid-round, I think.
Right. And De'Aaron Fox, I think, he was in that draft, wasn't he? No, it was Malik Monk.
Sure, but Monk is another interesting, but it's just like it's guys that were good. And so you look for these drafts for guys that can change your franchise. And I think what you're talking about with Cooper is accurate and has been sort of the selling point to people who really, really watch basketball is that he just learns, and he learns in a way that is so uncommon because basketball is really hard. I mean, it's really easy to explain, but like really hard to execute and improve on the way Flag has looked, at least in these early games.
Well, there was an article I read before the draft, and this is where I started kind of really digging into him. But there's a story about when he was in 8th grade, I believe, his coach put him up against a college player, and told the college player, well, you really need to challenge him physically and stuff. And during that practice session, he was horrible. And he came back the next time they had a practice session. He put the same guy against him, and he said, "Well, I just saw his mother just kind of with this cat with a canary grin on her face," and she said, and he said, he kind of dominated the guy, from one practice to the next because he learned, okay, and you kind of see that, and you're seeing that like right now with his finishing. You guys talked about how, he's just so physical when he goes to the basket now. Well, he wasn't as much at the beginning of the season, and
I think that's true.
He was kind of missing, he was kind of missing finishes, and I made a comment then. I said, when he gets stronger and better, he's going to make those, and he's going to start averaging over 20 points a game. Well, now you're seeing that. Now I don't know why, We're not seeing that in quarters 1 through 3. Honestly, but I mean, he's got to start learning to get off, in the first half instead of just,
Right. I definitely think that's true and fair. Oh goodness.
Yeah. So
well,
and
it's
all
nice to be happy. I'll tell you that. Like I've not been exactly bummed coming in here, but I also want variance in what we have to talk about and what we have to look forward to. There's just it's a long season, and
well,
we have.
I want you to watch somebody if you get a chance to. His name is Caleb Wilson. Plays for North Carolina.
Okay, he was the guy who got really pissed after the University of Kansas game, right? And said that what's his name didn't pass to him during one of the high school all-star games.
Yeah, he was. Now, if he's a top 5 guy, and if the Mavericks could somehow draft him and put him and Cooper, at the wings, look out, because that guy plays defense like Jonathan Isaac.
Okay,
He can guard, in my opinion, he can guard at least 2 through 5, maybe 1 through 5. And his offensive game's a little bit better than people gave him credit for. So, but if they were able to draft that guy, you would have a defensive monster on your hands. And I know you got to score, but still.
Do you happen to be on social media at all?
Some, yes.
So Tom Crean, former, where did he coach? Tom Crean coached University of Indiana, a couple other places.
Did he coach at Butler?
Or was it Marquette, maybe?
He did coach at Marquette, yes. I remember that.
Okay. I'm remembering. Anyway, he tweeted during the game when Flag got that open court, kind of like rumbling, stumbling, bumbling, just finish at the rim, full court as he's bumping off guys. He tweeted out something to the effect referencing the Kevin O'Connor article where Kevin said that some general managers have told him that Flag would go as low as 5th or 6th in this 2026 draft.
That is utterly preposterous.
Yeah. AJ Dubance is the only other player I've seen that makes me go, okay. I mean, the guy from Kansas too, but Dubance is just like such a Tracy McGrady clone to me. And
yes.
And it's so funny because you can tell how old someone is to whether they respond to that or not, because like Tracy McGrady, Kobe beat McGrady, but if Kobe didn't exist, McGrady would be like remembered as one of the best guards ever. So
I still remember that dunk he had over Sean Bradley.
Oh my God. He was just so good. And like, he was on the bad end of so many like bad breaks. I mean, the Rockets, the Mavericks losing to the Rockets beating the Mavericks. No, other way around. Mavericks beating the Rockets with Yao Ming and them is just great. And so Dubance just reminds me of him with this sort of uncanny like length and paired with just body control. And like, that's what Flag's, one of the elements of Flag's game beyond like the processing is the body control. I mean, I'm watching this play on repeat as I'm thinking about it right now. And these guys, he's just NBA level players are just bumping off him like he's not there. And well, it's amazing.
There's something, and it looks to me like he's moving so fast when he decides I'm going to the paint. He's moving so fast that you've got guys that are off balance, and then when the contact comes, they're off balance and they're flying off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's part of it. The other part of it is he is pretty strong. What's scary is he's 18.
That's right.
Wait till he has grown man strength at 22.
Yeah. Can't wait. It's really something.
If we can keep it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining the show once again, keeping us going.
Thank you.
All right, man. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Guys, we will be back tomorrow night. Mavs play the Wolves. So come ready. Hopefully it'll be a fun game. Got a little bit of a dreadful feeling about this one, though, as the Mavericks are probably like on their way to the airport to go to Minnesota, land in the middle of the night, only to have to get up and play tomorrow. This has been Kirk Henderson for Pod Maverick presents Mavs Party. Everybody be good. Have a great start to the week. Go Mavs.